People ask me all the time, Jay, when did you know? When did you know that you were not going back to the United States? And here's the thing, there was never a dramatic moment that happened as to when I made that decision. There wasn't a day I woke up, I heard the traffic, I looked at the palm trees, and I was like, yep, this is the day. That's not how it happened. And to be honest with you, the truth is more interesting because I didn't realize I wasn't going back until I stopped thinking about going back. And that's a completely different thing. And if you follow my channel for a while, you already know this was not my first attempt to live here in Dominican Republic. The first time I tried, I got my ass kicked. And I'm just being honest. Back in 2015, I thought I had it all figured out. I took money out of my 401k and opened up a restaurant. I had big dreams, big plans, and not to mention big confidence. Matter of fact, I think I probably had a little bit too much confidence. I thought all I needed was my plane ticket and a little bit of ambition. And then it turns out that's not how life works. The restaurant failed, my money disappeared, and the dream that I had built in my head, it started falling apart piece by piece. And eventually, I ended up back in the United States. And when I tell you, I felt so embarrassed because I had told everybody what I was coming to Dominican Republic to do. I had in my mind multiple restaurants. And a year later, I was back in the United States. And let me be clear, a part of that embarrassment was not just because I failed, but I had to admit to myself, you know what, Jay, you really wasn't ready. I wanted the lifestyle, but I wasn't prepared for the responsibility that came with it. And I'm gonna tell you, I thought for a quick second that maybe Dominican Republic wasn't really for me. Can you believe I thought that? Just for a second. But here's what people didn't see during those 5 years that I was back in the United States. The planning, the sacrifices, the learning, the rebuilding. You know, everybody likes a good comeback story. But here's the thing, nobody likes the years spent becoming that person that's capable of a comeback story. While everybody sees those videos now, they never saw all the years and all the time that was spent trying to figure things out. Working, learning, studying, changing my mindset of how I thought about money, changing how I thought about freedom, changing how I actually thought about life. And here's what I realized. The first time I moved to the Dominican Republic, I was chasing a dream. This second time, I wanted to build a life. And those are two totally different things. If you're coming here to chase a dream, it may not work out. But if you actually come to build a life, you have more of a chance of sustaining yourself here. And when we finally moved back, something felt different immediately. And it wasn't that the country changed. The country was still the country. The traffic was still the traffic. The government was still the government. The internet was still the internet deciding whether it was going to cooperate on any given day. Some things just never changed. But you know what changed? Me. I wasn't looking at every inconvenience as a mistake. I wasn't comparing every little thing to America. I wasn't treating this country like a temporary experiment. I was treating it like home. And when you do that, it changes everything. And that's why some people can't really wrap their head around why I like living here so much. Because a lot of people come here and they're testing it out as an experiment. That's not how I live my life here. I treat this place like home. When I went back to the United States, people were telling me, welcome home. And yes, that is my home where I grew up. But to me, your home is where your heart is, where you're building a life, where your family, where your friends are. And all of that is here in Dominican Republic. So when we got back here the second time, something happened. The moments started stacking. Not one big moment, I'm talking 1,000 little ones. For example, watching my daughter become fluent in Spanish right before my eyes, it hit me harder than expected. I remember hearing her having conversations that I could not fully follow. And at that moment, I was realizing this is not temporary. This here is her life. This is her childhood. This is gonna be her story. And then there are moments with my wife, moments with my friends, moments walking through Santo Domingo and knowing exactly where I was. Like, I know this city damn near like the back of my hand. especially in the Distrito Nacional area. I knew shortcuts, I knew some of the neighborhoods, I knew the restaurants, I knew where to go to grab the best coffee, I knew where to meet people, and I was feeling like I'm not visiting here anymore. I belong here. And I'm not saying that because somebody gave me permission to do so. I'm saying this because I had built a life here. Guys, I want to pause for a second, because if you're watching this and you're thinking, man, this sounds nice, living in Santo Domingo may be something I want to do, but you want to get real clarity, I created something for that. It's called the Santo Domingo Life Bundle. It includes 6 in-depth ebooks, 5 bonus guides, and it's going to walk you through cost of living, housing, healthcare, schools, and what it's like to live day to day right here in Santo Domingo. I'm gonna link everything in the video description below and explore it at your own pace. And then there was Abroad with Jay. I started making content. I honestly had no idea where it was gonna take me. I just started sharing my experiences, talking about life, talking about some of my mistakes, talking about some of the things I wish someone had told me. And then something happened. Guess what? People started listening. Then they started showing up. Then they started moving. Then they started reaching out to me. Then they started sharing their own stories with me. And before I knew it, it wasn't just a YouTube channel anymore. I was building community. And that community has become a part of my life, a community that did not exist before I moved here. But I remember one day I was sitting and thinking about going back. It wasn't a serious conversation, but I was just thinking about it. And this question popped into my head. What would I be going back to? And I had to sit there and think about it for a minute. Because for years, the United States represented security, it represented comfort, familiarity, you know, the backup plan. But now my life was here. My routine is here. My friends were here. Opportunities were here. My family is here. The business that I'm building is here. The future I was creating is here. And for the first time, when I think about going back, it didn't feel like home. You know what it felt like? It felt like I'll be starting over. And here's something people are not gonna tell you, or that you rarely hear when you move abroad. Home changes, as I mentioned earlier. And sometimes you're the one that changes. And a lot of times people think home is a place. And I don't think that's true anymore. I think home is where your life is, where your relationships are, where your routines are, where your purpose is, where your future is. That's where home is. And somewhere along the way, DR was no longer a destination for me. It was where I was building my life. People sometimes think it's the beaches. It wasn't. People think it was the weather. It wasn't. People think you come over here for the women. I'm married, so it wasn't. People think it was for the lower cost of living. Yeah, that may be part of it. Those things are nice, but none of that is strong enough to build your life around. And what kept me here was so much bigger than any of that stuff. What kept me here is the alignment. For the first time in my life, the way I wanted to live matched the way that I was actually living. And when I tell you that's a powerful thing, it's a powerful thing. So when people ask me, when did you ever decide you wasn't going back? My answer typically surprises them, because I tell them there was no moment. There was no announcement. There was no big decision. It was plain and simple. It was just a realization. One day I looked around, I saw the life that I built. I looked at my family. I looked at my friends, my community, my routine, my future, and the business that I'm trying to build. And I realized at that point, I hadn't really thought about moving back in a very long time. And not because I couldn't, and not because I feel trapped, and not because America is bad, but because I'm exactly where I want to be. And that's when I knew it. I wasn't looking for home anymore. I had already found it. So guys, if you're looking to move to Dominican Republic and you want to know how much it's going to cost for you to move here, check out my DR cost of living calculator. I'm going to link it in the video description below. Also, if you're interested in investing in real estate, the link's in the video description below that says I want to invest in real estate. Click that link, go over to our website, check out the properties we have available. Also, links to both of my newsletters are in the video description below. My Live Your Best Life newsletter and my DR Insider Real Estate newsletter. So guys, until then, remember, always keep your goals at the forefront of your mind. Always live in the present, because that's the only way you're gonna live your best life. And we out. Peace.